Hey there, so we're continuing to look at some different chapters. Here's chapter 26, one that we haven't gotten to yet, and that is Immigrants, Refugees, and Asylum Seekers, the Psychosocial Cost of War on Civilians. Now, again, the chapter that the textbook that the university has us using really kind of, like I've said before throughout the term, a lot of the things in here, some of them don't directly relate to us, but I think what I want to do is kind of address things from a healthcare perspective and how, even though some of the stuff that's talked about in the chapter are completely unrelated to us, what what is our potential role? So again, when we talk about things like immigration, refugee status, asylum seekers, these are sometimes hot topics within politics, and I want to leave the discussion of politics out of this. Rather, just look at it from the vantage point of if an individual is here in the United States and they're not integrated into the mainstream of society, how can that have negative implications for their health? And we'll see a video here at the end which illustrates an example on how people try to reach out and help populations. So, looking at some definitions here, first off, immigrant or immigration. Immigrant is the type of person who is a migrant from another country, either here lawfully or unlawfully, with the intent to take up permanent residence. And if granted legal residency, he or she is provided the status of a permanent resident alien. Those who migrate from another country unlawfully are also referred to as immigrants, but not in legal status and not as a permanent resident alien. The uninformed and culturally insensitive often use of the term illegal aliens for immigrants of United is used for those who've entered the United States unlawfully. So refugee is someone who is located outside the US and is in need of humanitarian assistance, demonstrates that he or she has been persecuted owing to race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership within a particular social group, and is not firmly resettled in another country, and meets all the requirements for admission contingent on background screenings, those related to mental, physical, and criminal screenings. An asylum seeker. Each year, people come to the United States seeking asylum because of threats to their safety or fear of persecution. Asylum seeker is a person who, because of race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion, has been threatened with violence, persecution, and fear that he or she will suffer persecution. So, looking at the prevalence, incidence, and etiology, worldwide there are more than 51 million refugees, asylum seekers, and internally displaced persons from war torn countries forced to flee their homelands. And as we look here, this data may be, old. Obviously, if we think about what's going on in Israel and Gaza right now, but just to appreciate some of the data here, the UNHCR's Global Trend Report, compiled by governments and non governmental partnering organizations, show an enormous increase in these indigenous populations because of war. At the time of the writing of the textbook, the largest number of refugees have come from Afghanistan, Syria, Somalia, Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Myanmar, Iraq, Colombia, and Vietnam. And so I think what they're talking about here is people that have come to the United States. In 2016, there were 51,000 Afghan, Syrian, and Iraqi refugees who traveled through harsh winter conditions over the Mediterranean Sea to seek asylum in various other countries. All were forced out of their homelands and spread geographically across bordering countries because of war. Presently, over 1.1 million people worldwide have submitted applications for asylum, and an additional 25,300 asylum seekers who are children separated from or unaccompanied by their parents. The parents of these children were likely seriously injured or killed as casualties of war. And to kind of share something really kind of interesting, you don't understand the physical challenges that people go through. A group from my university has started partnering with a nonprofit group that goes to Costa Rica to provide healthcare services for those who are underserved and uninsured. And some of the people that they work with are those who are traveling from South America to try to get up through Central America into then Mexico and the United States. And I'd have to pull up a map to look at the exact location again where this particular area is, but there is basically a jungle type area where physically it's extremely hazardous for people to attempt to get through, let alone it's also an area that is full of the drug gangs and cartels. So extremely, extremely dangerous what these individuals are putting themselves through to try to get someplace for their children is, I'm not even sure how to describe it. The chapter talks about some different topics again as we take a look at these topics here. These topics are things that are really unrelated to what we would do as practitioners. And if you have an interest in exploring them, I would say please take a look at the textbook. What I can tell you is there are opportunities to better understand the health issues of these populations. This particular paper here looked at musculoskeletal pain. We went out to the vineyards as part of a group that was providing musculoskeletal screens. You'll see the group that runs this here in just a little bit, the Salute program, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So, of course, a lot of people were experiencing back pain, and you can imagine the back pain that migrant farm workers are going to be experiencing as they are working in the vineyards. It is a very physically demanding job. And on top of that, too, there's a lot about health aspects. We take for granted the ability to do exercise, and we understand the importance of exercise, but for a lot of people, that's not understood or not a common thing. And you might say, oh, wait a second, if somebody's doing a lot of physically demanding work all day, isn't that exercise? Well, it may or may not. There may be a repetitive nature to things, and so they're not training all muscle groups, right? Or it may be that they are not doing a lot of aerobic exercise kind of continuously. Of course, there are benefits we know of doing any aerobic exercise, and that being walking, but it may not be enough. Or their job may be partly in the field and partly doing kind of sedentary work. And on top of that, too, tobacco use can be high, and that's what we found in this report, too. So what I wanted to illustrate here is the Salute program. The Salute program is a program that was created by the public health nurses, the doctors and nurses of a particular hospital in Yamhill County, Oregon. And they partnered with the vineyards, and they try to raise money each year through different auctions to then facilitate the services, the healthcare services. And so mobile clinics will go out to these vineyards and do health screens. And during those health screens, if somebody is needing additional work, they can be then referred out from there. So give me a moment here. I'm going to pause the recording and pull up a little video.
Cuando está la planta chiquita, me fijo cómo está creciendo y siempre yo digo a la planta, me gustaría saber qué es lo que tienes o qué pasa. Yo trabajé en el viñedo desde 1980. Aquel tiempo cuando yo llegué aquí no teníamos aseguranza, entonces era difícil asistir a un hospital o a una clínica. para revisión de dental o de la vista, porque no teníamos aseguranza y los cobros eran muy caros. Por 10 años no teníamos una visita a un doctor.
This Salud program was started in the early 90s as an idea to bring healthcare outreach to the vineyard workers. It was a partnership between our hospital at the time, Quality Healthcare, and the wine industry.
En el 91, 92, cuando empezamos a escuchar del programa de salud, mi patrón Bill Fuller fue el que contactó a ellos y para nosotros fue una ayuda muy grande.
Many of our migrant seasonal farm workers, they have a lot of barriers, including transportation. To get into a clinic is not always easy in the sense that many of them you have to make an appointment, you have to take a whole day of work, and many of these workers just postpone their care.
Sentimos que el programa de salud vino a salvarnos la vida y todavía sigue siendo un beneficio muy grande. Y en el 2000 empecé a ser manager de los viñedos.
Salud Service is an excellent example of what is possible, of what happens when one industry really take ownership of what are we going to do to improve the health of our workforce.
Yo me considero una persona con mucha suerte al crear un buen grupo de trabajadores que pues siempre trato de ayudarlos. Por lo que yo pasé, yo quiero ayudarlos a ellos y quiero que aprendan que lo que yo sé, ¿verdad? Para si un día yo me voy, pues la gente más chica ya sabe lo que tiene que hacer.
We still continue to have lots of challenges in healthcare. What Salud Services has demonstrated in all these years is a collaboration between the wine industry and our healthcare system is people taking care of people. That's who we are. Is you cannot have a successful industry without taking care of the people that are making this industry possible.
All right, so hopefully that was an interesting video there. Again, they raise about $1 million to $1.5 million a year with a vineyard auction, and that really helps to pay for those mobile clinic services. And then, of course, some other groups, different universities will take out their students to do dental hygiene services and physical therapy screens. It's something I'm no longer part of, but was really happy to be a part of at one time. Your forum discussion topic for this week will relate to this particular topic.